Hey everyone, this is Errol from Dream Warriors. This is my second attempt recording this because I had audio settings that messed up the whole recording. Um, I haven't streamed or recorded videos with OBS in a really long time, and I cannot say it went well, so I'm going to give this another go. This is going to be my first unit review. I'm mainly going to be covering revamped units because they're going to be a lot more plentiful than new units, but I'll probably cover new units as well. Before we begin this video, I'm covering the Architect, Ancient Darkspawn, Corrupted Spider Queen, and Felix. So if you're not interested in the most recent updates, you probably don't want to watch this video. I'm going to credit Cyblog for the old unit information via HODA codex that I use in this video. Uh, it's very helpful because if that wasn't there, we wouldn't be able to look back on old units and see what they used to look like. There's really not any other resource that allows us to do that. So I very much appreciate the dedication that HODA Codex has put in. And I will link the website. Obviously, most of you will probably know them. I will link the website, and I again thank you for the screenshots that I took. I'm going to be ranking these units based on a letter grade, so S, A, B, C, and D. S being a meta-breaking unit similar to Daces or Advisors, mainly Josie, um, where they kind of shape the meta around them, or they're a direct counter to the current meta. A is great all-around units. Uh, they can be used in a few teams, but they're ultimately not top dog. So this means they can either be used almost universally in PvE, because PvE doesn't follow the same rules of PvP, like you won't usually find 3 Josies or whatever makes your team not work. You usually won't find that in PvE, but they might not work in PvP, or they might be tailored towards PvP, but cannot take on some of the uh, more heavy fights in PvE, like artificially statted units like 700k Josie or whatever in the right armor raid. So they're either or they're both, ideally. Uh, B is a good unit. They have uses in PvE and limited usability in PvE, like pending event buffs. So these are characters that you only whip out when they have an event buff, kind of like the Red Templar Shadows during the last Guild War. Those were pretty common, but you never use them otherwise. Or they have decent use in PvE. They can still be used viably, and they're still good units. C is decent units, useful for new players, but they really haven't found a spot in any PvE or PvP meta. They're not powerful enough for like clearing the higher difficulty raids or something like that. D is just bad units. Like overall, they don't slot into the meta anywhere, and they lack resistances or they lack the green text that leaves them with little use even in PvE. And F is like absolutely unusable. Not a lot of units slot into that, but some do, and it's sad, and they really need a revamp, but we'll get there. Uh, F can alternatively be given to revamps if it somehow the unit was made worse by the rework or the revamp, but that's not likely, especially in this video. Uh, I'll be starting with Felix. Old Felix was a pretty underwhelming unit, especially being two-star in today's meta. He boasted a natural 100% resistance to slow. Allies gained small power when Felix was attacked. He offered 60% health to Tevinter and 50% power to his father, Gary and Alexius. He attacked and drained power from one column of enemies. You can see quickly from this that he lacks a power increase for Tevinter, or any outstanding defensive buffs that have become so important in today's meta, like stun, slow, or curse resist of any kind for his fellow Tevinter allies. His stat line was relatively decent, but he lacked the buffs to make him a serious contender. I would give Old Felix a D, a pretty bad unit, not really usable in either PvP or PvP. New Felix boasts the same stats, but with universally upgraded green text and attacks. He now attacks a column and drains 50% power from those units. He attacks himself for 5% of his power, and he grants allies 25% power and 5% critical damage chance. He now gives to Vinter allies 60% health, stun, and slow resist. When he is hit, his allies gain 25% health and 5% bonus damage. He gives his father 50% power, 25% damage resist, and curse resist. When he dies, Tevinter allies gain 75% power and health. He naturally reduces the enemy team's power by 15%. Overall, this is a massive upgrade. He offers sustain in long-term fights that may last several rounds through team-wide healing when he's hit. The bonus damage can also cause him and his other Tevinter allies to sometimes go nuclear. He power gains allies when he attacks, and when he dies, he massively buffs Tevinter units. He may very well be the next best suicide unit when it comes to Tevinter teams, including using the Elder One. I give Felix an A rank, pending an S rank, after testing and VK's input, as VK stated that the guild was going through testing for Felix and that they might have already found uses for him. I'm looking forward to that, and I will link any video they post based on the Felix, and I hope they find a good use for Felix. He looks like a pretty exciting unit. Old Corrupted Spider Queen was completely unused and unseen, except for brand new players with little to no other options. She attacked and drained the power of one row of enemies, and she gave power to allies on her attack. She gave Blighted units 50% power drain resist, 35% stun resist, and 35% power. She was more likely to attack the back row. There's not a lot to say. She does offer 35% stun resist, which at least is a upgrade from old Felix, but I would give old Spider Queen an F. She's really not usable at all in her old state. I wouldn't even recommend her to like brand new players. It's a bad direction to go in, because especially the corrupted spiderlings aren't useful on their own right as legendaries. So yeah, I'd stick her with an F. New Corrupted Spider Queen, however, I found to be pretty damn strong, at least compared to its previous form. Corrupted Spider Queen attacks and curses a row and drains 40% of the row's power. She then slows all enemies and grants allies 30% power. It's pretty great upgrade, I'd say, in general. She offers a 60% health and power buff for Blighted, along with 25% stun, slow, and curse power resist for Blighted and Spiders stacking. This includes herself, so she has a natural 50% stun, slow, and curse power resist, even when used without other spiders. She causes allies to resist the first 2,000 damage per hit, and doubles it for herself to 4,000. She naturally reduces the enemy squad's power and power drain resist by 15%, and their stun and curse health resist by 20%. It's a very solid revamp. The only complaint I have is I feel her attack initiative could have been set to quick, and would have been much more useful than its current slow initiative. Reason being, slow usually isn't too amazing on slow round, because they're one of the last people to go. Though it does synergize with her power gain. I feel like if there were 2 rounds, her power gain, if she could go 2 rounds in a row, like being a quick unit, like the first power gain would be not very useful, but the second power gain might be enough to finish the enemy team off in the second round. I would give New Corrupted Spider Queen a B. She's not too amazing. She's a good unit. She has her uses in PvE. She can be used in PvE. She definitely can be used in creature buffs, like creature and Blighted event buffs in the rotating PvP modes. But she's not too amazing. We can only hope to see that the Spiderling revamps that turn this unit into a monster. Spiderling revamps could come from the creature revamps, hopefully. As a side note, she does lose close to 20k health and 1k power after this revamp, so she is brought more in line, but she also gets stronger green text buffs to help her even that out. But generally, she does have a whopping, I think it's 210,000 less health than Dragon of the Elder One, I think, maxed out. So Dragon of the Elder One would definitely be your go-to for Blighted squads, I would imagine. Um, After the massive amount of health that Dragon of the Elder One received, as a side note, Dragon of the Elder One received 72,000 health and a 50% defender aura. So it's probably the best tank out there, the best defender LC for Blighted for a long time, probably. I have a soft spot for the old Architect because a Blighted squad was some of my first legitimate squads I used to progress in the game. However, he did not age well. He attacks a single target, then he slows and curses the health of a column and heals all allies a moderate amount. It's a very solid attack for a 1-star hero back in the day. He deals a natural 35% bonus damage versus large creatures. He offers 50% health, 25% power drain resist, and 25% bonus damage resist versus wardens for blighted allies. A short and sweet kit with a pretty powerful attack for a 1-star unit. I would give it a C, a decent unit, usable for early players, but not long lasting in any way. The new Architect, however, gains a very slight increase to both health and power, about 1,000 increase to power and about a 4,000 increase to health. Architect has received a glow up with his new attacks being as follows. Attacks one enemy with 35% levy and curses health of all enemies. Grants allies 25% health and power, a fantastic attack for a normal round hero. He offers 60% health and curse resist, with a 30% damage resist for Blighted and Tevinter units. When hit, Blighted and Tevinter allies gain 25% health and power and 10% curse resist. He offers slow immunity to Archdemon Euthermiel. He reduces the enemy squad's 2 times damage by 15%, 2 times damage chance by 15%, and also reduces their curse resist by 10%. He's a dual unit, sliding both into Blighted and Tevinter squads potentially, and assisting both equally. So if he becomes a meta unit, an S tier unit, it could be as a Tevinter unit or as a Blighted unit. We've yet to see. He does, as a Tevinter unit, offer a 60% universal curse resist that Tevinter was really lacking in terms of curse resist, and he also does give that 25% health and power on attack and when hit, so he can be very useful in Tevinter. I'm hoping. I'm going to try and test with both Tevinter and Blighted, but the true power within the new Architect is that he is a dual unit, so if he doesn't work out in Blighted, he could work out in Tevinter. If he doesn't work out in Tevinter, he could work out in Blighted. Either way, he's a pretty damn strong unit. The 35% levy on his attack is very strong, as levy on any character can prove immensely powerful, especially with this amount of power drain naturally in his kit. From my initial tests, he's a very promising unit. I would give the new Architect an A with a pending S after further tests. Definitely, I might update his rank after a week of testing, but for now I'm sticking with an A. He's a very great unit, but he's not a Dace. He's not Daces. He's not advisors. He's going to be very, very strong in PvE, however, and a possible proving ground defense team. Possible. In my humble opinion, which may be slightly biased because of AD being one of my favorite units in the game, Old Ancient Darkspawn is potentially one of the best old units that was still out there. He's great for new players with good stats, but admittedly he's very weak to all forms of crowd control. He attacks one enemy with a 60% chance to drain power from all enemies. He heals all allies a very small amount after that attack. Ancient Darkspawn gains 50% power on enemy death, and when he is hit, allies gain 25% power. He offers 35% health, 25% power, and 20% damage resist for blighted allies, and reduces enemy mages' powers by 10%. With the 50% power gain on enemy death, he was an absolute monster in terms of single target damage and power drain, when you were lucky enough to get the power drain off, that is. It was common to set enemies' power to 0, so they would be hitting for 15. He's a very strong old nuker unit, and I would give Old Ancient Darkspawn a B, even in today's meta, where he's probably very useful in PvE content and can do some of the highest level, but I would be hesitant to say he can do the newest raids, and especially the newest Gauntlet, but I would say he can safely run through Origins, uh, Civil War, and metas probably pretty well. Um, yeah, I would give old Ancient Darkspawn a B even in today's meta. New Ancient Darkspawn did not gain any new attack power changes. However, he did receive a monstrous 50,000 health increase, which he's sitting pretty at about 80,000 health when Mythic forwarded, like fully maxed out. He attacks one enemy with 25% levy, and now guaranteed drains 50% power from all enemies, which is so much massively better now that it's guaranteed, and we have an actual stated percentage that he drains. He has a 50% chance to curse the health and power of a row additionally, and he gains 50% power after his attack. So he's more of a consistent unit where he doesn't rely on enemy death. He instead gains 50% anytime he attacks, which is nice because he retains his old power gain mechanic with it being more reliable. He offers 60% power, power drain, and curse power resist, and 25% damage resist for his Blighted allies. He converts 10% of damage dealt by Blighted allies into power for Blighted allies, and he has 25% defender. When hit, allies gain 15% stun and slow resist, while reducing enemies' effects by 25% naturally. He can do a surprising amount of damage even with the loss of his power drain on death. He doesn't hit quite as hard anymore with guaranteed power drain of 50%. He finds himself in a much more useful spot in Blighted comps. I'm hesitant to give him an S tier because of his weakness to slowing and stunning effects, which all the new Blighted units possess the weakness of. None of them got significant and reliable resistance to stunning and slowing effects, so units like Josie can still completely shut them down with stuns and slows, which is unfortunate. It makes me hesitant to give them S tier ratings, but on the bright side, he does, however, give his squad 15% of both stun and slow resist each time he's hit. So if you're using 2 times Ancient Darkspawn, if he's hit 3 times in the first round by all attackers or something else like that, the squad becomes immune in conjunction with Corrupt Spider Queen's stun and slow resist for Blighted. Something of note with 2 times Ancient Darkspawn, only after both getting hit 2 times, you become completely immune if you're using Dragon of the Elder One, due to Dragon of the Elder One's 50% stun resist that it gives to Blighted. So you at least become immune to stun. I'm not sure if it's 50% stun and slow resist for Blighted, or 50% stun and power drain resist that the Dragon of the Elder One offers, but if it's stun and slow, Dragon of the Elder One is definitely your go-to Blighted large creature, especially when running these new units. I give him an A, but unfortunately, even though he is my favorite Darkspawn, I suspect he's going to stay in A tier, a very good PvE unit with potential in PvP, but he's definitely not a Daces, where he just takes over the Proving Grounds completely. I do not see that happening, unfortunately. Finally, if you're looking to chase the Architect, if you're looking to gain the Architect into your collection, he drops from the Soldier Pack, the 1,500 Gold Pack, the Recruit Pack, 350 Gold Pack, and the Origins Gauntlet, Node 2. So because he drops on Node 2, such an early node, you can run up to Node 2, quit the map, and rerun it. If some players out there didn't know you could do that with Gauntlets, it makes it very easy to farm as many Architects as you want to get, because you're only investing, I think, 10 energy per run. If you're looking to get Ancient Darkspawn, however, he also drops from the Origin Gauntlet on Node 11. So if you're looking to get both at the same time, say you lack either of them, you could run to Node 11 and repeat the same strategy, but you will be spending a lot more energy that way. The Corrupted Spider Queen is probably the easiest of these new revamped units to get. You can pick her up from a Giant Key quest, which you get plenty of keys for over time, and it's a very easy quest to complete. She is in the drop pool for the Giant Key. Felix is probably the hardest unit to get, which will be really unfortunate if he does turn out to be meta. because he drops from the Civil War Gauntlet on node 35 towards the very end of the gauntlet. So he's going to be a massive, massive, massive energy investment if he is absolutely required to get. So if he's not absolutely required and like not the best unit, he's not the new Daces, he's not the new Josephine, I would heavily recommend skipping Felix. But if he does turn out to be really good, I think we have a long grind ahead of us, because that's the only way to get Felix currently outside of spending gems on packs, is node 35 with a Civil War Gauntlet. I will cover the new unit in a separate video pretty soon. Again, credits to Cyblog for the old unit information that I got from HODA Codex that I took screenshots for. Without that, I wouldn't be able to compare the units after their update, unless I had taken screenshots of their unit cards before their update, which previously, when we didn't get announcements of which units were getting revamped, it was a lot harder to do that, and it was really inconvenient to keep every single legendary unit screenshotted at all times, just in case they get revamped. So HODA Codex allows me to make these videos incredibly easier than I would otherwise, and I really do appreciate that service, and I'm sure all of us appreciate Cyblog's effort that he puts into HODA Codex and all the people that help them. This was my first video on HODA ever, my first video of this kind ever, I'm pretty sure. So it's probably rough around the edges. I probably stuttered a little bit, or a lot of bit. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I plan to do it on every revamp and every new unit. My opinions might be wrong. It's perfectly fine to disagree with my rankings. I would love to see your rankings and how you think these new units will perform, if they're S, A, B, C, or D, or F. Make sure to subscribe if you want to see content like this in the future, and drop a like if I did well. I'd really appreciate it. And again, this has been Errol from Dream Warriors, and I will see you guys next time in the next video.